A wild player roams through the desert, his tools readily mounted onto his back, his sword defiantly gripped in his hand. Just up ahead, a tall, natural pillar of unprecedented height swarms in front of him. Thousands of monsters create a flurry through the everlasting twists and tunnels that crater the perimeter of the colony's structure. Instantly, the player's face changes from bravery to fear as he's faced with his hardest challenge yet, a Scarak nest. Welcome back to another Hytale News video, fellow adventurers. My name is MerryPippin, and today we will dive into Scaraks, which are one of the hostile mobs you will encounter in your Hytale journey. Before we start the video, however, we'd like to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Visual Gladiators. Don't forget to give them a look after the video, and without further ado, let's jump right in. Scaraks are noticed in one of the most powerful scenes of the trailer, where we see a player taking cover at the entrance to a sand palace. This scene really highlighted the magnitude of prefab generations and how intense some of the boss encounters will be. Scaraks will be found in Zone 2, which is currently nicknamed Howling Sands. We can see from the concept art that there are a variety of structures made by these clever insects. One is a prison cave with underground cells, another is the ziggurat that contains a crystal room. There's a small symbol underneath the crystal indicating that there is more than likely a boss or spell guarding it from us. There are 4 watchtowers around the main building that the Scaraks can come in and out of, however they're slightly ruined. One explanation for this is that the original structure might have been attacked by the humans who own military outposts in the same zone, which is also subject to decay and ruin. There's also a magic gate that leads to where the Sand Empress is imprisoned in the underbelly of the Sand Palace. We know from previous blog posts that this zone will have a wind affinity, so it's highly likely the crystals and various other protections have strong links to wind magic. From looking at rough sketches, we can see that despite the cave system seeming organic, there are rifts and details of the structures that are inspired by the Scarak's antenna, Sand Empress runes, and the surrounding environment. From taking a look at the concept art, we know that there are 3 stages of life for a Scarak. The first are egg sacs that produce larvae, which are tiny babies in the Scarak life cycle. From there, the larvae can grow into a builder, a shield, a flying locust, or a worker. Each variant of Scarak will probably have its own room or section in the underground tunnels, such as an egg nursery or a Broodmother dungeon encounter. Each Scarak looks like it will need different tactics to defeat. For instance, the best strategy for the flying variants will likely be projectiles like arrows, whereas tanks, on the other hand, will need brute and blunt force due to their heavily armored bodies. Scaraks closely resemble the life cycle and anatomy of various other real insects, including ants, wasps, and locusts. Locusts are particularly devastating in the real world due to their swarming and destructive consumption of plant matter. If Scaraks and Hytale are anything like this, that will mean farming will be particularly difficult in Zone 2 despite being such a dry and arid landscape to begin with, meaning we will require a lot of preparation in Zone 1 before we can safely venture out. In one of the artist's impressions, we can also see a direct representation of scale indicated by the small player silhouette. The Broodmother looks to be about 4 times the size of a player. However, once the Broodmother is unguarded by tanks and warriors, she appears to be fairly easy to kill. All the Scaraks have antennae, which are their primary form of communication, and the Locust seems to have a green abdomen that might be filled with poison. And whilst all the Scarak types have wings, it appears the Locusts and warriors will be much faster and more dynamic in the air. Hytale would really win bonus points from us if it were possible to tame Scaraks and ride them into the horizon. We can imagine a warrior Scarak would be pretty handy for defeating the Yeti boss in the next zone over. Zooming in closely, we can see that tank Scaraks will mostly appear underground and use their heads to form protective walls and barriers to guard entrances to other parts of the cave system. To its right, we can see a sketch of an old shield Scarak used by the Empress to fight opponents and build walls as a form of scaffolding. The wording implies that the Sand Empress no longer utilizes these, either because she's imprisoned or there's no use for them anymore. But anyways, now it's time to thank you all for watching today's news video. It really means a lot to us. You, the community, is what drives us every day to continue to bring you the most recent and relevant news from Hytale. Thank you. As always, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a future upload. Let us know if we missed anything at all, and we'll be sure to respond, as we'd love to hear anything more about Hytale. We're always reading and responding to as many comments and suggestions as possible. Before we go, let us know in the comments what video you'd like to see next. But as always, my name is MerryPippin, and we'll see you guys soon for another Hytale news video.